I'm Chris.
I'm Jenna.
And this is TonightAliveFans.com.
Hey fans.
How's it been touring with Taking Back Sunday and the Used?
It's pretty ridiculous.
Yes.
I'm going to start with that adjective. It's been really fun. The shows are really big. They're all sold out. And the bands rock.
Yes.
And I think we were talking last night, Maddie was sort of talking about how he feels the pressure as a drummer because he's drumming alongside great musicians. Mm-hmm. And I said, dude, think about how I feel. Look at the 3 other frontmen on this tour. So, yeah, I guess we're really lucky. We consider ourselves really lucky to be a part of the lineup, and we're just making the most of it. Yeah.
The Edge. Is it going to be on Spider-Man in America or no?
It's not on the American soundtrack.
I'm going to bring my iPod to the movie theater and play it.
You can pretend you can watch the credits and play The Edge, and it'll be just like Australia.
How did that come about?
It's a Sony picture, and we're a Sony band worldwide, excluding America, because we're on Fearless here. And we just kind of got a phone call when we put out The Other Side last year, and when we were on the tour over here. It was our first headline tour in America, and we just got a phone call from Sony back home saying Sony Pictures are looking for a female-fronted rock song, and we want you to write it. And I was like, okay, I'm up for that. The description was we want a driving, dark rock song with female vocals, and I was like, that's pretty much our description. So. We finished the tour in America, and we went home and did Warp to Australia, and then we had 2 months off. But right at the beginning of the 2 months off, we took a couple of weeks, and as I've said in the past, it just took a couple of weeks to get The Edge. There were like 2 songs previous to it, but yeah, they weren't the ones. Okay. But we got The Edge, and it felt really good, and we jammed it out and recorded it with Dave Petrovic, who made The Other Side as well. And it's really fun to play live.
I thought it was pretty cool that Spider-Man, I think out of all the Marvel movies, is the one with the songs that everybody remembers. Like the Nickelback. Well, no, it was the guy from Nickelback and the guy from Saliva and Dashboard Confessional. Yep. And that was like they were huge.
And even another Australian band, Killing Heidi, was on the first soundtrack, I believe, and that song was called I Am. Okay. And it's a really awesome song. And the craziest coincidence, they're a female-fronted rock band too. I don't think they don't play anymore, but the weirdest thing was that the man that directed our video and sort of ran their video too, and they were on the original Spider-Man soundtrack. So it's really nice, like Aussie pride kind of thing.
So what are your plans after this tour?
I'm really excited. We're going back to Australia, and it's about to become winter there. So that's a really nice time of year in Australia because it's always cold, but it's like the sun stays out. Okay. So anyway, Whakaio and I are going away for a riding trip. So we're going to spend 3 weeks sort of north of Sydney in a place called Smiths Lake. Okay. So we've rented a cabin, and we're going to set up a studio in it and write for a few weeks, and then the guys are going to come up and we're going to jam and develop the songs, and just really excited because we've been writing since the end of 2012 because we made The Other Side at the end of 2012. And now we've toured it for a year and a half, and it's kind of time to start making sure the next album's going to be ready by the end of this year.
It feels like The Other Side hasn't even been out for that long.
No, I know. It must be weird as listeners.
Yeah, you guys have been writing it for years now, right?
But a year and a half is like a really long time, and there's a lot has happened, and we're kind of on a 2-year cycle, so by the end of 2014 we will have made another record. It'll come out mid next year, so it's all exciting.
One thing I've been seeing a lot online is a lot of fan art, and a lot, somebody did a lyric video for The Edge recently, and somebody did a really cool cartoon of Cam, actually.
Was it like a drawing that kind of looked like he was on a psychedelic drug, maybe?
Maybe a little bit. It was all in I think green or grey.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. It reminds me of, I've seen a series of pictures online where someone's taken acid, I'm sorry, and not that's got anything to do with me, but it's sort of, because it's such a long process, it lasts a really long time, they do drawings beforehand, during, middle, end, and then after, and you see how much the style of their artwork changes. Okay, yeah. Anyway, the style that Cameron's drawing that you're talking about, it really reminds me of that, because it's really, it's not your typical style, and it's kind of
looks really
an
cool.
interpretation of Cameron, but you can recognize him. Yeah.
How does it feel to be at that point where your music and who you guys are inspires people to do that for you?
It's like a weird feeling. Like,
Yeah.
it's a good feeling, but I don't try and look at it like as if it represents something, even though in a way it does. I guess it means you have enough of a presence in that person's life for them to draw you, or like even write letters to you and stuff like that, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, it still doesn't fully make sense to me, so I didn't really read into it.
Okay.
It's kind of like when people ask, what's it like when you read a letter, or if someone says, you saved my life, and it's one of those things that is so big that it's like, it's almost, this sounds ridiculous, it's just a little, sometimes too much.
Yeah.
You can't,
I can understand that.
how can you put yourself in those shoes? Like, I don't know. It's a beautiful thing, and it means so much to us, but at the same time, if you take that on, it's like a really heavy thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But back to the positive side of what you were saying, it's really cool, and we appreciate fan art very much.
Has there ever been a band that you've loved so much that it's kind of inspired you to be creative like that?
That's funny that you say that. I just had a flashback. When I was like 13, Good Charlotte was my favourite band, and I had their first 2 records, and at the same time Fall Out Boy and Green Day were kind of my favourite bands when I started high school. Anyway, I used to trace the Good Charlotte logo, the GC, all the time. I used to trace it on all my books, and I used to write it across my wrist, Good Charlotte, with spider webs and stuff, because Benji, I think, has a spider web tattoo on his elbow.
All that stuff.
So this is 13-year-old me, and I used to trace it every day, and I said to my guitar teacher, I was like, I'm going to get this tattooed. He's like, really? Are you sure about that? I'm like, yes, it's my favourite band, and I'm 21 and I never got the tattoo. But I guess that's kind of similar.
Good. Since we're kind of talking about younger days, what was your first concert?
I'm gonna say there were 2, because one was with my dad, and it was a sit-down concert. I went and saw Status Quo and Deep Purple. They did a co-headliner, and my dad sort of always played that music to us when we were young. So he took me to my first concert, like real thing. But then my other first concert was when I was in a mosh, and I kind of consider that more close to what we consider a show.
Yeah.
And that was All American Rejects
and
Hello Goodbye. And there was also a band called Avalon Drive, but I didn't know them at the time, and I don't know them anymore. But All American Rejects were like another one of my favourite bands in high school. And Cameron and I, when we met when I was 14. We clicked really fast, and we stayed in touch. And 2 weeks later, we went to the All American Rejects concert together.
Nice.
And yeah, I love that band.
Cool.
And I have really good memories from that.
Yeah.
My first mosh experience. Yeah.
I can't imagine you in a mosh.
I know, I went in one recently and I was like, this feels weird, but it's cool.
What would you say would be the best thing and the worst thing about touring?
That's like a really hard question, but I'll start by saying the best thing about touring is that you have these moments where you're either in your van or bandwagon or bus or dressing room, and you kind of look around and you realise that you're surrounded by your best friends. And these are people that you know inside out. And I know it's not the same for every band, but with us, we have a dynamic where we're all really close, and we just bring each other back down to earth every time our head gets a little bit too big. And I guess that's my favourite part about it, is that you get to travel the world, do what you love, and be surrounded by good people. The worst thing, I mean, I guess there's a point where touring can become repetitive. The only thing that's different is where you are, but you'd sort of do the same thing every day. So I think that all comes down to attitude and having the right mindset. If you let your head get that way, then you're not going to have a good time. But yeah, it's all about perspective.
What's your favorite quote from Mean Girls?
Oh, that's great. That's a great question. Can you answer that question?
My favorite quote from Mean Girls is the part where they're in the cafeteria doing all the confessions.
Yeah.
And the one girl, and she's like, I wish that we could all get along like we did in high school.
I guess following on from that, she doesn't even go here. I guess that's a good quote. There's so many though.
We should all just kill Caesar.
There's just too many, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the fetch quotes are the best.
Yeah.
They're not up there. You know how they call people skeezers and stuff? Yeah, so that's interesting. I've never heard that outside of Mean Girls. Anyway, this could go on forever.
I know everybody asks you this. How is your American accent?
I don't want to put it on because it's embarrassing. But I think I'm okay at it.
I'll do an Australian accent if you do an American.
Alright, you first or me?
Tell me something to say.
How about we use one sentence?
Okay.
Like, hey there, how's it going?
Okay.
Let's go to the mall.
Alright.
Your turn.
Oh gosh.
Hey there, how's it going? Let's go to the mall.
Hey there, how's it going? Let's go to the mall.
Not bad. Okay, my turn. Hey there, how's it going? Let's go to the mall.
That wasn't bad.
Was that okay? It's just like a Malibu Barbie accent.
Hey.
Yeah, I set you up.
Do you know anyone who plays the didgeridoo?
I bet Matt could, because he's the most Australian person I know. But other than that, no. It's actually really, really hard.
Is it?
We had lessons at school, which sounds really weird, but it was just like an Indigenous celebration week. I think that maybe that happens every year, or maybe it was just like 1 year, I don't remember. Mm-hmm. But when we were younger, and we had sort of an Aboriginal class, and we did body paint and like dance and anyway, all this stuff and story time. And we learned about the didgeridoo, and it's a thing called circular breathing, where you have to breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth at the same time, which I can't do, it's really difficult. And you also have to be able to vibrate your lips. Anyway, I can't do it to answer that question. No.
What's your favorite movie?
That's 10 Things I Hate About You and Laws of Dogtown.
Okay.
Probably.
They're used to watch 10 Things I Hate About You constantly.
Yeah. So. That's a movie I could quote too.
Yeah.
I love Cat Stratford.
What is your favorite song from Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill?
Oh my god. I love them all for different reasons, but I think maybe not The Doctor, because the lyrics are really smart. She kind of talks about how she's not in this relationship with the guy to fix him. Mm-hmm. She's like, I'm not here to like mend you. And she's kind of sarcastic but intelligent, and like she makes all these contradicting sort of statements. One of my favorite lyrics from that song is this pedestal is high and I'm afraid of heights. And she's really clever like that.
So when did you get into stuff like that, like 90s music like that? Because like for me, you know, that was what was out when I was around that age. But like
I guess like same for me. When I was younger, it was just all that was on the TV and the radio. So it was kind of what I was surrounded by as a tween, I guess you could say. It wasn't like a child, and I wasn't a teenager yet.
Sure.
And then through high school, I would hear people play Ironic and Hand in My Pocket and stuff like that, and Bitch by Meredith Brooks, and like Letters to Cleo, what's that song, I Want You to Want Me, just stuff like that was always around. But then as you get older, you get into punk, and then I joined the band, and that stuff wasn't important to me. But I guess it's been in the past year or two, and I just got a couple of Hole records and Bachelor Girl, and I prefer listening to music like that now, at the moment, more than anything that I have in a while. So, at the moment, it's like girl, 90 rock, and reggae. So.
Thanks for the interview. It's really cool
to
interview you for the first time for Tonight Alive fans.
Yeah, thank you so much. How exciting.
Do you have anything you want to say to the fans watching?
Well, thanks for watching, and thanks for coming onto the website. Chris is an awesome person, and she's going to be looking after it as much as possible, I'm going to say, on her behalf. And I guess obviously you guys know that our tour dates will always be on our website and Facebook, so stay in touch with us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and I guess we'll be back as soon as possible.
Cool.
Thanks.